All right, it's a special election. It's in Pennsylvania, where they're already redistricting the entire state. It's 3 weeks from today. Many see it as a potential bellwether for November. The latest poll shows that Republican Rick Saccone is leading his Democratic opponent, Conor Lamb, who's closing the gap, but also running in that race, and it could have a big difference, is Libertarian Drew Miller, who is joining us right now. By the way, we've already had Mr. Saccone on my live weekend show. We've called Mr. Lamb repeatedly for any and all of my Fox News or business shows. He has yet to get back to us, but hope springs eternal. Sir, very good to have you. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me, Neil.
There does seem to be a pent-up, I don't know, maybe incumbent angst, rage, however you want to describe it. You're a different kettle in a way that you are anti or an alternative to either party. Is that how you frame yourself?
Yes, that's correct. Neil, you know what? The thing is that I think I am the most logical choice for a candidate for voters in this upcoming special election. You take a look at Rick Saccone, for example. Yes, he has the legislative background, and Conor Lamb, yes, he has the legal background, but I'm the only candidate that has both a legal background and experience in the legislative branch of government.
The legal background could work both ways, by the way, but let me ask you a little bit about what's happening in your state. Now, in this redistricting going on here, it could take a 13-5 advantage that's in favor of Republicans for the 18 congressional seats and maybe strip away 4 of those seats to Democrats. As things stand out, it would be a 9-9 makeup. But what do you think of that then in this whole redistricting move?
I'm not surprised, honestly. I've seen a lot of this within Pennsylvania, a lot of the gerrymandering. Having worked in the Senate of Pennsylvania, I can tell you that both the Republicans and the Democratic parties have a stronghold on our elected officials. The elected officials in Pennsylvania are working for the parties themselves. They're not working for the people. And in fact, Neil, that is taking place across the nation right now. You hear it day after day. People are upset with the divisiveness taking place within our country. And some people naively believe that if they elect a Republican or a Democrat, that person can go in and change the very problems that are being caused by Republicans and Democrats. They say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result each time. If we want to see real change in this country, we need to do something different, like electing a Libertarian to Congress for the first time.
All right. Now, Libertarian candidates in general have not done well. Certainly on the national level, they've not done well. Maybe you could be different in your race. But it comes at a time after this latest school shooting that people are demanding action by Congress in one way, shape, or form. There are those who advocate reining back on guns, others who say we have to have a better way of policing who buys those guns. Where are you on all of this?
Neil, I'm actually taking the stance that a lot of the 2 other candidates have taken, where this really appears to be a mental health issue and not a particularly a gun issue, And so I'm the only candidate that's really offering real solutions, okay?
Well, what does that mean? If it's a mental health issue, then what would a Congressman Drew Miller do?
We have to focus on the mental health aspect of why are these shootings occurring. No one's asking that question. No one is asking the question as to why all these school shootings are being perpetrated by young men and not young women, which leads me to believe it's some sort of a mental health or a societal issue.
Well, do you think, being a Libertarian, would you be okay with having the mental health records of people out there so people would know, institutions would know, gun store owners would know?
No, I think that it really goes down to addressing it at the personal level, the individual level. We don't need to necessarily get the government involved in terms of creating a database as to who has mental health issues. But there has to be a way to seek these people out when we see these instances and to be able to address it. In this last school shooting, Neil, I think there was, 20 different instances where we could have stopped this from occurring, and this young man fell through the cracks.
Right.
In a way, we sort of, a society that kind of let him down also,
But I didn't think
so
Libertarians were big on the government sniffing around at private medical records and the like. You would be a little bit different in that respect, that you would take and share this information.
No, I would not want to share the information. What I'm talking about is going to the community level. If you see someone, for example, acting out in school, maybe you need to address why that's occurring. Talk to them and make sure that this isn't
a lot of people knew it was
issue.
occurring. A lot of people knew and fingered and said something when they saw something and it fell through the cracks. But doesn't that demand then a way or a better system in place to telegraph the trouble spots right away? And there's got to be an institutional way to do that, so that authorities know the dangers in their midst.
I don't think that we necessarily need an institutional way to do that. I think if we look at the mistakes that occurred in this last school shooting and previous school shootings, we can come up with a better solution without having to get the government involved.
Because I think this gun soar, the gun shop who sold what appear to be multiple weapons to the Florida shooter, had no idea whatsoever about his checkered background or issues that had come up, even anecdotally, at his school where he was expelled, issues with police and police visits to his house 39 times over the last few years. So shouldn't there be something in place that would at least prevent the kind of thing that happened and a young man like this getting not only a dangerous weapon, but many others with relative ease and no one asking a question?
I really think that still has to take place at the local level. I don't know that there necessarily could have been anything that could have prevented this. I think it should have occurred maybe at that local school level. It shouldn't have gotten to that point where he was able to do that. I don't know the national database. It
happened that way. That's exactly what happened, right?
Right, but I don't know that a national database would have solved that, and I don't know that particular gun legislation will be able to solve that too.
How about a local database? Something that could alarm people, hey, right here.
Yeah, I mean, look, this has to... Neil, in society today, we have stopped talking to our neighbors, okay? We're on our phones all the time. Maybe we need to start making relationships with people. Maybe if we have that individual connection with people, we can
you're
stop
right about that.
events
I'm just saying, Mr. Miller, if I'm a mom or a dad of any one of these people and these innocent kids who lost their lives last week, I'm going to need more than some advice on a conversation. I need something tangible and fine, and it doesn't sound like you're offering that.
No, a lot of people are talking about, gun control, Neil, and let's just, assume that we were able to put
gun control, something a little bit more specific than what you're offering.
I don't know that I necessarily want the government to be involved in people's personal lives. That's been my whole thing, is getting the government out of people's personal lives.
All right, Mr. Miller, thank you very, very much. The Pennsylvania Congressional candidate, Drew Miller, the Libertarian candidate for that race. We hope to hear from the Democratic one anytime he feels like stopping by.